gyroscopeme.com, the hottest online radio station in the world. GS Radio all day, all night, worldwide. Powered by Gyroscope Media Group, LLC.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off that gloomy look of tragedy. It's not your style. You look so good, you'll be glad you decided to smile. Pick out a pleasant outlook. Stick out that noble chin. Wipe off that full of doubt look. Slap on a happy grin. And spread sunshine all over the place. Put on a happy face. Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off that gloomy look of tragedy. It's not your style. You feel so good, you'll be glad you decided to smile. Pick out a pleasant outlook. Stick out that noble chin. Wipe off that full of doubt look. Slap on a happy grin. And spread sunshine all over the place. Just put on a happy face. Face. Take off that gloomy look of tragedy. It's not your style. You look so good, you'll be glad you decided to smile. Pick out a pleasant outlook. Stick out that noble chin. Wipe off that full of doubt look. Slap on a happy grin and spread sunshine all face. Good times are coming to you. You know they're coming. Just open up your heart. You know they're coming. You'll find your way in the dark with a happy face. And that's why we're here, so that you may put on a happy face. I welcome you to Real Talk Real Estate Matters. My name is Gail Allen, and I've got a great offering for you today. We are going to have some of the top flippers. Last week, we spoke with a Mr. Bert Rosario of Bergen County, and he talked about flipping properties. Today, we're going to speak with a company that's coming out of New Jersey. They're called the Jones Well Management Company. Jones Well Management Company. Now, they do construction. They also buy and sell, and they manage property. We're going to talk about the fix and flip process, which is a really serious process, and you should know what you're doing before you start spending money and investing in property. You need to have a budget. We talked about that last week, but you also need to know which is the best way to purchase the property. Should you sell the option after you purchase the property to your end buyer, or should you perhaps sell the LLC, or do you just flip the entire contract to your end buyer? And because that is how you make your money when you are wholesaling. So we're going to talk about fixing and flipping. We're also going to talk about wholesaling property. And we're going to get down to the real nitty-gritty with that. So get your pen, get your pad. If you have any questions, you can reach us here in the studio at 201-759-2421. You can also reach me at realtalkrealestatemasters@gmail.com. You may email me with any questions that you may have. I'm going to move along quite quickly because I do not want my guests to wait. We're going to talk about the 203K. The 203K is a great loan that allows you to buy property, okay, and renovate that property. Instead of having two loans, one loan for acquisition and the other loan to renovate the property, you have one loan, okay? So you would put down 3.5%. Some lenders want 5% for a 203K property. And the way that works is that, let's say you have a property for $200,000. It's a one family. It's really battered. It needs a lot of work. Maybe it needs $100,000 worth of work. Okay. But if you were to put in $100,000 worth of work on this property, the property value may be something like maybe $350,000 or $400,000. Let's say the property would appreciate and it would have a value of $400,000 after you made the necessary repairs. It's a property that's worth going after. It's a property worth having, because with an FHA 203K, if you lived in that property for 1 year, you can then move out to another property, and that property would then become your investment property. All right. So this is really a serious loan when you look at it. Why? Because you can purchase a 1 to 4 family home with a 203K loan, putting down 3.5%. I'm speaking of that 3.5% covers acquisition, and with many lenders, it will also cover all of the repairs in one loan. And your interest rate, let's say in today's market, would perhaps be something like maybe 3.75 or 4%. 30-year fix. You know what's really great about the FHA loan also? Let's say you've been in this loan for 3, 4, 5 months, and the interest rate that you have is 4%. Maybe interest rates will drop down to something like 2.25. With an FHA loan, you can actually do something called an FHA streamline, where you're refinancing that property without paying the closing costs, without paying points. All you do is just show up at the closing with your next month's payment, whatever that may be. So if it's 3,000 a month that you're paying with for your mortgage, your interest, your taxes, and your insurance, and your MIP, if you have MIP, mortgage insurance, um, that's all you do. You bring it to the closing, and FHA lenders will drop your rate to 2.25%, 2.5%, whatever that new interest rate may be in that market. So it is a very important tool for first time home buyers. The 203K mortgage, okay? Acquisition and renovation money in one loan. All right? So it gives you, let's look at this last panel also, Chuck, before we speak with our guests. It also gives have any questions, please feel free to give me a text, holler at me. You can text me at 551-276-9932. That's 551-276-9932. Or you may email me, tell me exactly what you have, what type of credit score you have. By the way, the credit score is anywhere from 580 to 620. All right. And if you have a low credit score, we there are programs with Experian that can help you do a rapid rescore to get your credit, your FICO score up so that you can become mortgageable. So you may email me at realtalkrealestatematters@gmail.com. All right. As I said at the top of the show, we have the Jones Wells Management Company, a construction company. They buy and sell, and they also manage property. I've seen some of their work, beautiful work, excellent work, and they're very astute, very knowledgeable in terms of the real estate market. And so, gentlemen,
Hello, can you hear us?
yes, I believe I can. I think my headphones are kind of hot.
Good evening.
Okay, good evening. Am I speaking with Ronald Jones and Vinny
Yes, Ronald
Jones?
Jones.
Yes, Vinny Jones.
Okay, how's everybody doing this evening?
Pretty good, and you?
They're doing okay. We thank you and we welcome you here to Real Talk Real Estate Matters. I know you guys are really busy. You're always looking at property. I know I spoke with you on the phone this morning, Ron, and you were just getting in from, was it California? And you're
Yes,
doing
yes, I'm
property
all
out
over the
there.
place.
And so you do travel around. You have buyers from all over the country that are reaching out to you, asking you to renovate or to build. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I'm all over. Like, I go to LA. I got a couple people out there. I deal with some realtors out there. We're trying to invest all over. Um, so I've seen some property out there that we got. We got a two family out there now. I'm working on now.
Hmm.
Um, the market out there is very high, but everywhere is a little high. But if you're always gonna find a good deal somewhere, and sometimes you don't really buy in the greatest neighborhoods
Hmm.
because basically everything is going to be coming down to the neighborhood that you want. So you want to be in ahead of the curve. When you
Right.
get ahead of the curve, then you'll find really really good deals.
Now,
You
are
know,
I just heard what you said. Are you uh, anticipating the market coming down,
yeah, definitely the
leveling
market's going to come.
off?
I feel the market's going to come down. Basically, the courts are opening. I do a lot of foreclosures. Unfortunately, we do foreclosures. So we look at, you know, property that's in need.
Hmm.
So we try to help out the clients and the people and stuff like that when they get underwater or something like that.
Hmm.
So we try to help them all out. our thing is to assist people in staying in their homes if possible. If not, have a way out
Mm-hmm.
to make it better and start all over again.
Mm-hmm. So,
Yeah.
so, Benny, when you're looking at property and you have let's say you have a seller that's in the property and they're in foreclosure or pre-foreclosure, they haven't paid the mortgage maybe in, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 years. How do you approach that person? Because you want to leave that person with their dignity. And is it a win-win situation? What are you offering to make someone want to sell their property to you? They know that they can't keep it because they can't afford it. But again, we're talking about the human being, and everyone has pride. How do you approach that person?
Well, when you talk to somebody that's losing their property, you let them talk to you.
Ah,
Let them explain their problem, and then you try to remedy some of their problems. You look at their numbers, you look at how the property looks, you look at how can I help you get out of the situation you were in. And sometimes we could get them out of the situation they're in and get them back into another house that's cheaper and better off.
okay, so something more affordable. Do you
Yes.
find that there are more foreclosures going on out in California as, let's say, in the New York tri-state area, or is it the same?
The more population you have,
Hmm.
the more foreclosures you're gonna have, and California and New York about same diagrams of people, so you're gonna have a lot more foreclosures in those areas because the price of everything is high.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you, Ronald Jones. When you're looking at property, let's say you go out and you find a good deal. Maybe it's a two-family or a three-family, and you know that you would like to buy this property and you would like to renovate it. What is it that makes you say, oh, gee whiz, I thought maybe I would want to renovate this property, but now that I've got much of the work done, I realize maybe I can keep this property as a rental. What gets you, what are some of the criteria that you look at?
Well, I like first of all, I like brick buildings. Anything is brick, I'm in, and I think we should keep anything that's brick because you can always change it up.
Mm-hmm.
So the foundation bricks are nice. You want a brick building, you want it solid. It's always a solid building. So that's what I care for is anything is solid. The neighborhood, making sure the neighborhood is right, and basically the income coming, the people that you're gonna rent to, and sometimes I just fall in love with the property. That it looks good and I like it, and I'm like, I think we're gonna keep this one.
Mm-hmm.
But mostly the numbers has to add up all the time. The numbers have to add up. If the numbers add up, then that's most important thing is your numbers because you don't want to put yourself in an area where you're gonna lose.
And when you say numbers in terms of
You know,
renting, you're talking about the leases or you're talking about,
I kind of lost.
all right. So yeah, for some reason we're having some type of interference. All right. Let me just see if we can clear this up. All right. I think that sounds a lot better. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So,
yes, I can.
so many,
Yeah.
many investors, sometimes when they're looking at the property that they would like to purchase, I mean that they own, and they renovated it, and let's say maybe they thought they're getting something like $1,800 per apartment, and let's say it's 3 units. Um, they have a formula that they use. Sometimes they want to make at least 1% of the total value of the property, or 2% of the total value of the property. Um, are you looking at capitalization rates when you purchase property, Benny?
We look at certain capital rates when we go up into bigger properties, like
Okay.
6 families, 7 families, things of that nature. Then we do cap rates. When we're doing 3 families, 4 families,
Mm-hmm.
we usually take from what they call Section 8. Section 8 has a model of numbers for each. If you got 3 family, a 2 family, a I mean 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom, they already have the numbers for you.
Okay.
Then you
Okay.
can add on and take off.
Okay. So with Section 8, or would you say Section 8 are still good tenants? I mean, how does that work? How much is the tenant usually responsible for in terms of the rent?
Well,
Well, well, it depends on the tenant and their situation.
Mm-hmm.
So if their situation it's calculated, so it runs. Some people get have to pay more, and some people have to pay less. It's a government program, so if you're getting on a government program, it's just for assistance. So sometimes, like right now, the rent rate is very high,
Mm-hmm.
so some people can't afford it. So what they do is they offset their income so that they can be able to afford the rents and stuff like that.
Have you ever had a Section 8 tenant that wanted to purchase the property? Because they are allowed to purchase now.
Yeah. Nobody really. I have. All my tenants. I tell them they need to buy. So all my tenants, I'll be like, "Why you rent from me? You really need to start looking into purchasing." So I like everybody to really purchase houses. So I don't mind them taking their money, but they help me out as an investor and everything like that. But mostly, I try to inform my tenants. You should definitely look into purchasing.
Right.
You know.
Eventually. Eventually. Uh, I
Yeah.
just wanted to say that, and I'm hoping I'm not imposing with this question, but we're all going through this pandemic. Bills aren't being paid, rents aren't being paid, mortgages aren't being paid. People have lost their employment. Uh, how have you been making out with your tenants? Have your tenants been able to keep up with their leases, with the rents? And if not, were you able to,
our ten-
to make arrangements with them?
okay, our tenants are doing pretty good. We had a couple of tenants that couldn't pay, so we would put them on what we call a weekly basis
A weekly
until they
basis?
got the payments paid. Yeah, so you would pay every week rather than pay everything in a lump sum. So that gives you a chance to go out and get some money here and there. It makes it easier on everybody. And we still can keep it in the house so we don't have to worry about taking it to court. And then sometimes we'll do what we call the barter thing where maybe we need the hallways cleaned or something and we'll take some money off the rent so they can do the outside. Maybe somebody take the garbage out and moves it, we'll take some money off and things of that nature.
So if your tenant is willing to do some type of maintenance to help out around the property, you're willing to consider that as credit for the rents that are due.
Right,
Okay, all right.
right.
What is it that you're looking to do with real estate in 2022, with the markets being the way they are right now? Teetering, no one really knows what's going to happen from one day to the next. The feds are doing everything they can to stabilize the markets by keeping interest rates relatively low. Uh, what segment of the market do you want to venture into now? Are you want to go more into higher end, or are you looking at multiple units, or you're still fixing and flipping, or what are you looking at now?
Well, we're really into all different avenues. Definitely, commercial is going to be more of the commercial kind of atmosphere that we're going to go to, and then we're basically still going to flip. That's income coming in and everything like that. But we want residual income coming in too. So we're going to be hitting the market on both ends, where you're going to be keeping, you know, money coming in at all times. I know a lot of people that gets in the business and want to do a lot of flips and everything like that. It's quick money, it's real good, but it doesn't stay. So you always want to have that chance to buy your property and maintenance and residual income coming in at all times. And it's as they say, it's generational wealth. So you want to keep on generational wealth. You want to build generational wealth is basically by buying property and keeping it instead of just trying to flip it and get rid of it. So if you want your kids and you want stuff like that, just like and so when I bought back in the day, when now my daughter is getting ready to get her inheritance. She's
Mm-hmm.
getting a building. So, that's why generation now we're starting to generate the generational wealth that we all talk about, but we don't do.
Right.
So we always think about quick money and having the money, but by you getting in the market and buying property and holding it, not just getting rid of it, hold it and pass it down to your kids and that's where we're gonna finally get out of the situations that we're in today.
I I buy a little different than him. I'm buying lots.
You're buying lots?
I buy a lot. Yes, I have 3 lots right now. I bought 2 in Georgia, and I have 1 in Detroit. Um, the lots are cheaper, and when you get ready to build, you don't have to worry about all the trying to figure out people in your house trying to fix it up and have all that problem. You can build brand new when you get ready. You're paying less money on the taxes on the lots, and you have that forever. And you get ready to the house.
Mm-hmm. That's so true. Also with lots, and I'm quite sure you know that if you own the property, you can actually go to the bank most times, and you can actually secure the loan because you own the lot, and so they'll give you 100% of the renovation money, the construction money.
Right.
Uh, now speaking, let's go back to fixing and flipping just for a second now. If what is the best way to approach or wholesaling? That's what I want to talk about. If you're buying property and you want to wholesale it, you decide, you know what, it's a nice deal. We're kind of busy. I'm in Georgia. I've got something in California, but this is a good deal. Um, what is the best way for a person to uh, acquire the property, to purchase the property? Should they buy the property and then sell it to their end buyer by selling the option to buy, or should they just flip the entire contract, or should they sell the LLC?
It depends on, do they need money right now, or do they want to have money flowing for a long period of time,
Mm-hmm.
or do they want to have protection on the sale? Now, when you buy fix and flip and you just listed that straight money, that money is more, it's fast, and when you get fast, you usually lose fast.
This is
the
this.
best two are options.
Mm-hmm.
The best two are options because when you give somebody a chance with the options, if they can't perform, you can go out and get another option on the house to do it again and just add the price up a little bit more. The LLCs are good when you want to sell something and don't have to pay taxes. So
Okay.
you would put the person's name on the LLC with you, and then you will have that person refinance the house, pay you off, and she doesn't have to pay taxes on the money that you just borrowed.
Okay. So now, my last question on the fix and flip on wholesaling is, how would you advise someone to get into that end of the real estate industry? How should they start? Should they work with someone? Is it best to join a group that meets up every 30 days to see and meet other investors and start talking about various ways or locations or regions of the country where it's best to purchase property inexpensively and then maybe renovate and sell? Which is the best way for a young person or any person, older person, someone that's retired and wants to do something different to get into the business?
Well, well, the best way is all of the ones you just said. You should go to meetings, go to a real estate meeting and understand how the game is played.
Mm-hmm.
Is the best way to have knowledge, to have a coach that can show you what you're doing so you don't bump your head. And
Mm-hmm.
the last one is go buy some books and read them on real estate investment, because the books you can always go back, read it, and go back and find out where you made your mistakes. Because in real estate, you're gonna make mistakes. It's just you don't want to have costly mistakes.
Well, you do make mistakes. You can make mistakes in real estate, but then you should have like a backup, I would think, right? Maybe you would
Right.
hold it a
That's why I
little
said you
longer.
should have. Right. That's why you should have all three of those. So if you don't know, you have three people to ask before
Mm-hmm.
you do something,
Mm-hmm.
and that helps out a lot. When I first started, I did all the real estate meetings in New Jersey. There was like 5 of them. I'd be at all of them. You need people to tell you what to do and how not to do it, and everybody has their ideas, and then you pick the ideas that you think you want to do. And first, I remember the first guy told me, never buy a single family because basically you're working for the house. By at least the 2 to 4, the house is working for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
And that's
I want to thank you guys. Listen, we're running out of little time. I want to ask you, can you give everyone your information and how you can be reached?
our information is Joneswell LLC, and our address is 35 Ice Avenue in Clifton, New Jersey. Our telephone number is 973-460-4210.
That's
Email,
973.
that's the email.
Say that one more time.
973
Mm-hmm.
460 4210.
Okay. All right. Very good. And Ron, I thank you so much. Benny, and we'll be talking to you guys. I know you're going to have a great year. We'll be talking to you soon this year. Okay. That was
Thank you
Ronald
very much.
Jones
Thank you very much.
and Benny Jones of Jones Well Management Company, a construction company. They buy and sell and they manage property. So you see, it's something that uh, real estate is something that you have to have a feeling for. But if you want to get into it, it isn't very difficult. As Benny Jones just said, you go to the meetings, meet up crowds that are looking to talk to new people. The lenders are there at these meetups, the real estate seminars. They have the lenders are there because why? They're looking for deals. That's how they make their money. And you come in the door and you're speaking to a lender who may be interested in the project that you like to present or that you want to construct. You may also meet other partners, people who have just a bit more experience than you or a lot more. Or maybe you'll meet someone that doesn't really have that much experience, but like you, they want to jump in, they want to get started with a small project, and of course, you build up. And then you may meet an investor. Investors, sometimes they're laissez-faire, hands off. All they want to do is find a good property that has the real possibility of making a really good profit, and they'll go on and invest, in your project. So it pays to get out, meet people, talk to people. And there's one thing that's really important is to kind of like keep your word. If you're going to show up and meet someone at a meeting and you're going to talk about a project that you have and a lender's going to be there and he's going to have maybe his programs with him. Sometimes they can talk about pre-approvals right there on the spot. Not that they're going to give you a pre-approval, but they'll give you the guidelines. And you need to know the guidelines. Really, when you're starting out in this business, and I'm speaking to the investors, you need to know as much as the lender does, or at least the loan officer, because you need to know the loan to value. And again, if you buy property, it's dilapidated, it needs to be renovated, the windows are shot out, the doors are hanging off, but you can pick it up for $200,000. You pick it up for $200,000 and you put $100,000 worth of renovations into this property. Now it has the market value of $375 or $400,000. That's $100,000. Now what you're going to do realistically, you pay $200,000, you put $100,000 in. It has a market value of $400,000. And this is where your skill set comes in terms of being able to look at math and to learn real estate math. You know that it took you, let's say, 4 months after you've acquired the property, to do the renovations. You had the tradespeople come in, the electrician, you had the plumber, you had the roofers that they came in, and all of this took time. Okay, you had to go for the permits. That cost money. Okay, utility bills, because you were in the property for 4 months before selling it, just getting it ready for the market. So you had to pay your water, electric, gas. That is an expense. So maybe you're going to spend at least $30,000. Okay, holding expenses And that also probably would include your realtor, because your realtor may flip the property for you. He or she may find the buyer that wants to buy your property and move into it. Okay, fixing and flipping, you're working with different people, and relationships are very, very important. So it's good to meet realtors when you go out. Give them your card, take their card, learn what they're doing, what markets they are very familiar and comfortable with. Not every realtor will be able to give you a good property that you can buy low and sell high after fixing and flipping. Not every realtor will be able to give you a property that you can wholesale. And I just want to clear up, what is the difference between wholesaling property and fixing and flipping? Well, when you buy property, let's say for $200,000, let's use that same example. $200,000, you purchase this property for $200,000. You know that if you put $100,000 into it, it would have a market value of $400,000. Now, how do you know that? Because you've spoken with your realtor, and your realtor has done something called the CMA, a market analysis, and he or she's come back with a number for you, and she's telling you that within a 1 mile radius, properties that have been renovated are going for 400, 425, 410. That are comparable to yours, 3-bedroom or 4-bedroom, whatever it is, 2 baths and a half, a full kitchen, maybe with a deck, no deck. He or she knows how to give you that information, and that's very important. Do not try to do everything yourself, okay? Now, so you know that if you put $100,000 into this property and renovate it, it'd be worth $400,000. But maybe you're kind of busy. Or you do not have the team to do the work for you. But this is a good deal. So what you can do, instead of fixing and flipping the property, you wholesale it. And what does that mean? Well, you pay $200,000. That's your contract, okay? And maybe you can pick up an easy $10,000 by offering an option to buy, okay, to a fix and flipper that is a contractor or contractors or developer, and they'll buy that property from you. They'll buy that property for $200,000 plus your $10,000. So you're going to sell that property to that contractor for $210,000. And you're not going to close on the deal, okay? What you're doing is you're selling the contract. So, and let's take our time with this. Now, some of you know about this. Oh, Gil, that's easy. I got it. But some don't. But when you get it, it's very profitable. It's very easy to do. Housewives can do it to make extra money. If you're in college, if you're coming out of school this summer and you're going to need some extra cash, this is a great way of making money, and it's perfectly legal. So I'm going to say it again, all right? You buy a property, let's say for $100,000. Maybe it's on a cul-de-sac. Maybe it's what you call a bungalow. Maybe it's in Florida, okay? Maybe it needs $70,000 worth of work, okay? And it would have a market value of $350,000. All right. But you don't know enough about construction. You don't know how to renovate a kitchen. You don't know how to make sure that the roof is being repaired properly. Maybe there are 2 or 3 roofs on there and it needs to be torn off. You don't know about that, and you don't want to get ripped off. The whole idea is to have enough knowledge not to get ripped off in this business. So what you're going to do is say, okay, I can pick up $10,000 or $15,000 simply by selling the contract. So you go to the seller and you'll say, how much do you want for this property? It needs work, and That seller would say, I'll take $100,000 for this property. That's it. I don't want it. I don't want to renovate it, but I'll sell it to you for $100,000. And then you sign the contract, okay? $100,000, that's the contract, all right? And you sign the contract and you make sure within the agreement that you have the option of selling or assigning the contract to another buyer. It's as simple as that. You're assigning the contract to another buyer, and you're going to put your profit on top of what the seller is asking for. Now, some people will say, "Oh, gee, I don't know. Is that the right thing to do?" Well, the buyer gave you his or her price of $100,000. Maybe the seller really wants to sell. The seller can't stay. Maybe there's a tax lien that's pressuring the seller. And maybe if the seller doesn't, isn't able to satisfy that tax lien within 30, 40, 60 days, he or she is going to lose the property. Okay, that's a reality. Many people, have tax liens on the property. A mechanic's lien on the property, all right? Or there's been a divorce. The husband doesn't want the property. The wife doesn't want the property. It was an investment property. Maybe it was an estate. I mentioned that before. Sometimes you'll have a blood relative leave something for you in Colorado, or I mentioned Toledo, Ohio, but you don't want to live out there. You don't want to move to Colorado, so you'll sell it and you'll sell it for a reasonable price. A seller will sell the property for a reasonable price so that they can move on with their life. So $100,000 is the original contract. You sign it. And now you are going to do an assignment on that contract to your buyer, who is a contractor, who is going to do the renovations. And you're going to pick up $10,000. Okay? How long does it take? 2 weeks, sometimes 2 weeks, sometimes 30 days. Okay? What will your seller do? Now, also the thing too is you always want to be honest and open about this. So there is absolutely nothing wrong with telling your seller, that the person that you're buying the contract from, the house from, you say, listen, I'm buying it from you for $100,000. I am going to sell this property to a contractor or a developer or a company that I know that's looking for a house like this, or a partner that I have, or a friend or an associate that I have, and they're going to give me a profit, a small profit of $10,000. They aren't going to say no. Why? Because that seller is getting what he or she wants. Because why? They want to move on with their lives for one reason or another. Okay, I don't ever believe that you never should ever feel the need to shy away from making a profit or to not tell the truth. Tell the truth. You're in business. You're a business person now. You're a businesswoman. You're a businessman. And so you handle your business by being upfront and crystal clear about your agreements. All right. So that's wholesaling. It's a very excellent way of getting started in this business. Now, after you've wholesaled a few properties, you may put together $50,000 or $60,000. Now you're in a position to go out and purchase a property. That is to fix and flip. Let's go back. I think we've got 2-3 more minutes. Let's go back to that same scenario. $200,000. You put $100,000 into it. It's now worth $400,000 once the renovations are done. Okay? The difference between fixing and flipping is just that you're going to do the work, okay, as opposed to wholesaling it to someone else who will do the work. You'll do the work. You'll put the team together. You'll bring in the crew to knock down the walls, to resand the floors, to build the stairs, to renovate, paint, whatever needs to be done. That's going to be your expense. You're going to pay for it. Now, you're going to put Usually, the way a fix and flip loan works, you'll put down 10% or 20%, 10 to 20% on acquisition. That is the purchase, which is $200,000. And most lenders will lend you 100% of the renovations. So you'll put down, let's say, 10% on $200,000. That's $20,000. Your loan would be $180,000 plus the $100,000 for the renovations. That's $280,000. Okay? You're going to do the work. By the time you finish with your expenses, okay, it's worth $400. You sell it for $400. You're going to pay your realtor 3 or 4%, in some areas maybe 5 or 6%. So you're going to pay your realtor. You're going to pay your holding expenses. What are your holding expenses? Well, you're going to pay interest on the loan. It's interest only, but you're going to pay interest on the loan. You're going to pay your utility bills, your gas and electric. You're going to pay taxes. All right. And that's why it's important to have a budget. And that is why it's important to go to these meetups. Whenever there's a meetup nearby or on the internet about real estate, they're talking about investors or getting together. Lenders will be there. Attorneys will be there. You be there. Okay. My name is Gail Allen. I want to thank you so much for staying with us. If you have any questions, and we covered a lot today. We talked about fixing and flipping property or wholesaling property. We talked about the difference. Sometimes things sound more complicated than they are. But if you have any questions, feel free to call me or text me at 551-276-9932. I want to thank the Jones Well Management Company, that's Benny Jones and Ronald Jones, for joining us here on Real Talk Real Estate Matters. And I do apologize for the audio. For some reason, there was a lot of interference. I promise you guys we're going to do it again. And next week, we'll be back. We're going to talk about grants. How to buy a house with a grant. Why is that important? Because with a grant, let's say you're buying a home for $500,000. The grant is the down payment. You need not pay it back if you promise to stay in the home for at least 5 to sometimes 7 years. And you can also finance your closing costs. My name is Gail Allen, and remember this. No matter what it looks like, no matter how dark it gets, God is always in control. He is always with you. Stay strong. See you next week.
Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off that gloomy look of tragedy. It's not your style. You look so good. You'll be glad you decided to smile. Pick out a pleasant outlook. Stick out that noble chin. Wipe off the full of doubt look. Slap on a happy grin. And spread sunshine all over the place. Put on a happy face. Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face. Brush off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off that gloomy look of tragedy. It's not your style. You feel so good, you'll be glad you decided to smile. Pick out a pleasant outlook. Stick out that noble chin. Wipe off that full of doubt look. Slap on a happy grin. And spread sunshine all over the place. Just put on a happy face. Wipe off the clouds and cheer up. Put on a happy face. Take off that gloomy look of tragedy. It's not your style. You look so good, you'll be glad. You decided to smile. Pick out a pleasant outlook. Stick out that noble chin. Wipe off that full of job look. Slap on a happy grin and spread sunshine all over the place. Put on a happy face. Put on a happy face. No need to look blue. Put on a happy face. Good times are coming to you. You know they're coming. Just open up your heart. You know they're coming. You'll find your way in the dark. Put on a happy face.